Hi everyone, today I'll be doing a tutorial on how to drive the new Tesla Model 3 2024, also known as the Highland. If you're new to my channel, please check out my other videos. I'll be doing lots of videos about the Tesla Model 3 as well as traveling around Europe. We recently moved to Portugal, and if you like my content, please consider subscribing. In this video, I'll be going through a lot of the basics on how to drive the Tesla Model 3, from opening and closing the doors as well as locking and unlocking the car, how to use the indicators, the navigation system, autopilot, and a few other basic topics that you would expect to find in other cars that are not the same in the Tesla. At the end of the video, I'll be going through a few more features and fun facts about the Tesla Model 3 that don't necessarily pertain to everyday driving, but will be useful if you're going to be owning a Tesla Model 3 long term. The reason I chose to make this video was because the first time I drove a Tesla, I actually rented it from Turo in the US, and I was able to unlock the car using the Turo app, but I didn't actually know how to lock it thereafter, because when I got in the car, the key card was in the glove compartment. It wasn't very intuitive to me on how to use the car. When you first get your Tesla Model 3 or any other Tesla, it doesn't come with a key fob to unlock the car. What you're meant to do is set up your phone with the app so it opens with Bluetooth when you're close by, so there's no need to use a key. However, for the first time use, you get this card, and this card has an indication of how to open the car. When I first saw this, I didn't know what it meant, but actually what it means is this is the B pillar of the car, and you put it over here and it'll unlock the car, as you can see. So that unlocks it. Same steps to lock the car. So when you leave the car, you put this against the B pillar and wait for the mirrors to close. I've muted my lock sounds. Normally the lock sound's a horn. I've just muted it because I don't like it. I just use the mirrors to see whether the car is locked or not. Once you unlock the car, you are able to immediately get in and start driving within 2 minutes without having to re-authenticate the card. If you wait more than 2 minutes, you actually have to re-authenticate the card by placing this card on one of the phone chargers, left or right, unlike the previous model where you put it over here, where it slides away. So they've really improved the positioning of this. So what you need to do is you tap it over here and it unlocks the car. To lock the car when you're inside the car, you can press this lock button. Once you press it, doors are now locked. You cannot be opened from outside. Although, if you're in the driver's seat or any other seat and you open the door, it just unlocks automatically. So this is more to prevent people from outside from opening the doors. When you first enter the car, note where the positioning for the seat adjustments are. This is the rear seat, the rear part of the seat, so you can tilt it back and forth. You move the whole seat up and down by pressing this button and move it back and forth just like this. This is the same in most other cars, so it should be pretty easy to get familiar with. This is the lumbar support, which is only available for the driver's seat, so you can increase the lumbar up there. You can also move it up and down by pressing this D-pad almost. So when you first enter, before you've created your profile, it is in a setting called easy entry. So this is the position where the seat will be when you enter the car, the seats as well as the steering wheel. What you want to do is you want to set this so that it is out of your way, so it's easy to get in. Every time you move something, it actually asks whether you want to save the easy entry profile. Some people obviously don't want the seat too far back, because then they'll have to sit really low to get in. So you'll adjust it to somewhere where it's reasonable. And then when I press save, next time I get in the car, the easy entry position will be set to that position, which means that the seat as well as the steering wheel will return to that position when I'm sitting in before I start driving. Once you set up your profile with the key or with the app, these settings will be available to you once you first start driving the car. It will ask if you want to save a new profile. I've disabled the Bluetooth on my phone so it doesn't recognize that it's me, but this card has been associated to my profile already. So when I put it over here and step on the brake, it'll already know that I'm loaded to drive, and it'll move the seat and steering wheel to the position that I've saved it at previously as well. In the next section of the video, I'll show you how to adjust the steering wheel as well as the wing mirrors. Also, this mirror is manual, so it's just a normal adjustment by moving it up and down. One complaint that I have about this car is that the rear view mirror here is very difficult to see out because the back is quite high up, so you can't really see much behind you, but you can look through the rear view camera if you like. Remember to set up the steering wheel correctly as well as the wing mirrors before you start driving. To set up your mirrors, go to the menu, which is accessible pressing this car icon over here. Under controls, you can go through all the different control settings here. First, we'll be adjusting the left wing mirror. What you do is you use the scroll wheel to move it up or down. So as you can see, if I scroll up, it moves up. If I scroll down, it moves down. and if I push left or push right on this three-way button, it tilts it in and out. And the same can be repeated with the right wing by just clicking right, and then you can do the same thing with the same scroll wheel as before. Once you are done, you can press save, and that will save your settings, or I'm going to press restore so it goes back to what I've already previously saved it as. Next, I'll be adjusting the steering wheel. Unlike most other cars, in the Model 3 there is no instrument cluster behind the steering wheel. So previously, when I adjust other cars' steering wheels, I always have to make sure that I can see the display through the cavity of the top outer rim of the steering wheel. They've actually removed the outer rim on the top for the Model S because it has a display, and therefore they have a yoke instead, so there's no top part. But with this car, obviously that's not a concern, so you can adjust the steering wheel however you want to make it comfortable for you. It works exactly the same as the wing mirrors. You use the left scroll wheel to move it up and down. So when you start moving it up and down, you can see that it moves up and down like this. And then instead of moving left and right, because you can't do that with the steering wheel, you can move it in and out by pressing the three-way button. As you can see, I've already moved it as far back as possible. I like it quite far away. And then you can move it as down as you want if you want a very comfortable drive where you hold the steering wheel down here. But I have it in like a moderate position. I'm going to press restore again, and you'll see that it'll go back to where I've set it to be on my profile. Once you're done, make sure that you can see clearly out of both wing mirrors as well as the rear view mirror, and that your steering wheel is in a comfortable position and that you're seating comfortably as well. One of the more confusing things about the Tesla Model 3 is that there are no buttons on the actual glove box, so you can't open the glove box without accessing the screen. There are two ways to open the glove box. The first way is to access the control panel by clicking the car icon over here, and under controls you can open the glove box by pressing this glove box button over here. Unfortunately, it's not powered, so you can't close it again. You have to push it closed with your hand. But the second way is to actually use a voice command. So to open the glove box using voice control, you press the voice control button and you say open glove box. And as you can see, it opens the glove box. Now that we're ready to drive, the biggest difference between the old Tesla Model 3 and the new Tesla Model 3 is that there are no stalks. So there's no way to engage the transmission, if you will, to start driving forward or reverse. There is a new feature in the Tesla Model 3 that allows the car to infer whether it should be in reverse or forwards based on how you've parked. I haven't enabled that option because sometimes it gets it wrong and it can engage reverse and reverse you into a wall if I'm backed up instead of going forward. So to manually engage how to go forward or back, you step on the brake pedal and you swipe up to move forward and you can start driving, or you swipe down to engage reverse and you can start driving as well. When you step on the brake pedal, you can also press the park button, and that stops the car so that the pedals don't do anything, as you can see. There's been a lot of concern about what happens if the screen stops working and you're unable to engage drive or reverse. There are actually hidden buttons up here by the hazards above the visor where you can hold down and you can change it into different drive modes. You obviously have to step on the brake pedal as usual and you hold down the button, and now that's engage drive. And you can use this instead if you don't like using the screen, but obviously this is usually for emergency purposes and it's a little bit inconvenient because you have to actually hold down the button instead of press it. One other adjustment that isn't normally spoken about that I found very useful in the Tesla Model 3 is adjusting where the position of the virtual wing mirror is. So this shows up when you start the indicator. So when you indicate left or right, there's a display of the camera that is on the side of the car. Where it normally is over here. I don't really like it over there because it kind of obstructs this autopilot view. But obviously this isn't very important to everyone. I just like it showing all the time. You can actually move it to the bottom here, so it still shows the autopilot up here, or you can move it over here, which I think is the best position, because if you look at the distance between your eyes looking towards the mirror on the left and the mirror on the right, it's actually equidistant, so I don't have to lean over to look all the way to the other side and actually miss out on some peripheral view on my left side. Obviously, if in Australia or in another country where the car is on the other side, like Japan, this whole setup is inverted, so it will still work the same way. One last thing that I want to talk about before we start driving, because this is the last thing that you want to be adjusting while you're driving, given that there's no physical tactile feedback buttons or levers or things to touch, is the climate control. The climate control is accessible by pressing this button here. This shows how the climate works. you can adjust where the wind is blowing by swiping and moving over here. One difference between the Model 3 and most other cars is that in most other cars there are 2 vents for the driver and the passenger, usually 2 in the middle and then 1 on each side for the driver and passenger. This is present in the Model Y, but the Model 3 only has 1 vent on each side. What they have introduced in the new Model 3 is that you can actually turn off the passenger vent. Normally I activate Autopilot if I need to make quick adjustments on the screen, which allows me to take my eyes off the road for a little bit to look at the screen. But once it's adjusted, to be honest, you won't need to touch this most of the time. I usually set everything on auto, so if I put this on auto, it'll automatically adjust based on the temperature. I'm just going to turn it off for now for the video because it makes a bit of noise. This car has heated and cooled seats as well. As you can see, I have it on 21 degrees, so infer what auto means in terms of heat seating and cooling. I usually leave it on auto for both the passenger and the driver, as well as auto for the steering wheel heating. These are really cool features, by the way. This is the base Model 3, and every single Model 3 comes with this heated and cooled seats as well as heated steering wheel. If you want to override the automatic settings, you can click on the seat and change it to hot and cold. The number of indicators, or these little squiggly S's, show how much air when it's cool and how much heat it emits when it's on hot. So that's something to look at and use. Otherwise, the best is to actually set everything on auto. Move the air out of your face if you don't like it in your face, and move it to the side, or if you like it in your face, move it to your face before you start driving. The passenger can access this easily from their side while you're driving, so they can always press over here and adjust everything for you as well. If you don't have a passenger princess, you can just use the voice controls as well. The other cool things to note is that you can also adjust the rear ventilation through this control as well. You can adjust the heating of the seats from the front of the rear seats by pressing on the seats themselves, and then you can also adjust the fan speed. You can turn it off altogether if you like. Other cool things, which I'll talk about a little bit more towards the end of the video, are the dog mode, camp mode, as well as the keep mode for climate control, which are very handy for long-term use of this car, or if you have a pet. One final thing about the AC, you can split the cooling. So basically, if you like a cooler climate compared to the passenger, you just change the temperature over here and click split, and they can have a separate temperature control compared to the driver settings. When you're ready to go, step on the brake pedal and shift up, or you can use these buttons that I showed you earlier. The biggest change on the new Model 3 is that they have removed the stalks, so the indicator buttons are on the steering wheel, and there is no stalk to change the indicator from the side. One way that I've learned on how to use these indicators without looking at the steering wheel is I actually got this tip from one of my commenters, and I really appreciate all the support that I've gotten on this channel over this few months that I've had it. I never imagined this channel will grow so quickly, so thank you for your support. If you like my video, please remember to hit the like button and consider subscribing as we make more videos like this, as well as traveling around Europe. So the tip came in from one of my subscribers, and basically the buttons are positioned on the left of the steering wheel. The bottom button indicates left, as if it would be on a stalk. So if you indicate down, it will be left, and up on the top of the steering wheel to go right. So what he did mention was that the right button is always on the top of the steering wheel. What this means is that if the steering wheel was upside down and you had to indicate using your right hand instead, you can just feel for the top of the steering wheel and press that button instead. So as long as you remember that the indicator buttons are always on the left side of the steering wheel and that the right indicator is on top of the steering wheel, it becomes much easier to figure out where the button is. So you can see the steering wheel is upside down now. I want to indicate right, I press down on my right hand, which is actually the top of the steering wheel, and that goes right. It does take a little bit of time to get used to. One of my subscribers did ask me whether you can use the voice command, and I will demonstrate that now. Indicate right. Indicate right. Okay, so that clearly doesn't work. So the voice commands are unable to activate the indicators, unfortunately. So this will be the steepest learning curve for when you get into a Tesla Model 3. It did take me about 2 months to get used to them. There are lots of roundabouts here in Portugal. If you want to see my review on how to use the indicator and the roundabout, watch my other video. But right now I've really gotten used to it, so it's not that big of a deal. I know a lot of people are saying that it's a deal breaker, they're not going to buy this car because of the lack of the indicator stalk. I completely disagree. I think that is just nitpicking. I will say, however, that I have run into issues with these buttons not activating, because these aren't actual buttons, these are touch sensitive buttons. In the Cybertruck and I think the Model S or X, they're actually physical buttons, so they don't have this problem. But basically, because they're touch sensitive buttons, sometimes I press them and then nothing happens. So that's the only complaint that I have about these indicators, and it's probably only happened 5 to 10% of the time. There are a few other buttons to be aware of on the steering wheel. This Tesla has the horn right in the center of the steering wheel, just like every other car. You can press the center part to activate the horn. I'm not going to demonstrate that now as I have other cars on the road. The other buttons that have replaced the stalk is the windscreen wiper button. So that button's over here. So when you press it once, it just wipes once and shows you the menu. You can change the wiping by using this the scroll wheel on the left and moving it left and right on the three-way button, or you can touch the screen to change the speed. Usually keep it on auto. It is pretty good, but sometimes it runs into issues as there's no rain sensor. It actually uses the cameras to infer whether it's raining or not. The other feature of this button is to hold it down and to activate the windscreen washer. So this activates every time you hold down this button. Another button on the steering wheel is to activate the voice commands. You press this button and you say your command, like open Glovebox. Another useful button that they've introduced is the camera button on the steering wheel. So you can press this button over here and it'll immediately show all the cameras around the car. Previously, you'd have to press on the screen over here. You can press the button on the steering wheel and see immediately your car's surroundings. This is especially useful if you're going through tight spots or you want to see what's behind you because the rear view mirror is not very clear. Another big difference with the previous Model 3 is how to activate Autopilot. Previously, there's a stalk, so you activate by pressing the stalk down. Now it is this right scroll wheel. So you press down on the scroll wheel on the right, and to change the speed at which you want Autopilot to operate, you scroll up and down just like the previous model. To adjust how far or close you want the Autopilot or traffic aware cruise control to follow the car in front of you, you move the three-way button of the scroll wheel left and right. Right being closer and left being further away. The furthest you can set it is 7 car lengths away, and the closest you can set it is 2 car lengths. I've got enhanced Autopilot on my car, but if you live in Europe, I highly recommend not getting it with the car and purchasing it afterwards if you feel like you need it, because enhanced Autopilot isn't that much different from standard Autopilot in Europe, and I'll make another video outlining the differences. But if you'd like free enhanced Autopilot to see if you'd like to use it, feel free to use my referral link in the description below, where if you purchase a Tesla using my link, you get up to 3 months of enhanced Autopilot for free. Therefore, you get to try it without spending 3,800 euros and knowing whether you need it or not. To open the bonnet or the boot, otherwise known as the frunk and the trunk, you can do it from the inside by pressing the button on the screen over here. If you click open bonnet, it'll open the bonnet. You can also use the voice command, or you can say trunk or frunk, sorry, with the voice command. With the boot, you do the same thing. Unfortunately, the frunk or bonnet is not powered, so you can't close it again, but you can close the boot by pressing it again and it'll close it for you. You can also look around the car if you'd like to see around your beautiful new Model 3, and I'll show you how to open the frunk from the outside. Once you have opened the frunk, you can lift it up like this and it'll open and stay open by itself. There's some storage space here, and to refill your windscreen washer fluid, it is over here in front. Previously it was up there, but they've moved it down here, so you don't have to lift water over the storage compartment if you have something stored inside here. To close the frunk, you push it down, you do not slam it, you close it and wait until it's open like this, and you actually use both hands on either side of the Tesla icon, but because I'm filming, I'm using my one hand. I usually do this and press down hard. Be careful with the front because it is very soft and prone to dents. To open the boot or trunk of the car, you can press the button underneath here, just like most other cars, and it'll open. And there is a lot of space here. Underneath the boot, there is additional storage, which I have my charging equipment as well as the safety equipment, and there's some loading space on the sides over here. To through load to the back, you actually need to open it from behind the car. Please don't forget to follow my social media and to subscribe to my channel. This is my handle. Lift this and pull the seat down, and it lies flat just like that on both sides. The alternative way to unlock your Tesla, and what you would do if you own the Tesla, is link up the Tesla app with your car close by to the vehicle. It will unlock, so you're able to just open the doors immediately. To open the Frunk with the app, you can press the button inside the app by pressing that. This means that every time you arrive at the car, you need to open the app to unlock the Frunk. But if you have an iPhone 15 with the action button, you can map the action button to open the Frunk when you hold it down. So I've done so when you press it down like that, it opens the Frunk or bonnet. This is especially useful because if you have some groceries in your arms and you want to open the Frunk, you don't have to go through your phone. So what I do is I just press the action button. So we are driving around Vilamoura, looking around this area. It seems quite interesting. We want to see if we want to move here for a few months. If you guys know anything about Vilamoura, or you have any thoughts about Vilamoura, please let me know in the comment section below. One of the most important features that you need to get familiar with is using the navigation in the Tesla. Unlike most other modern cars, you cannot use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, and there's a good reason for this. Mainly because with the Tesla, you actually need to use their navigation due to, in part, with navigating with their chargers in mind. Let's just theoretically say we're going to drive all the way from here in Vilamoura to Barcelona. You would just go on the navigation and you type the destination, and what it'll do is it will tell you exactly where to stop on the supercharging network and how long it's going to be at each charging network to stop. If you're used to using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you might find this rather annoying, given that you can't search on your phone immediately and then have it mirror onto the screen. Fortunately, there's an easy way to send information or locations from your phone or Google Maps onto the Tesla. I will demonstrate that in a screen recording from my phone over here. You can share locations from any app on your phone. I usually use Google Maps. So if I went to Google Maps and searched, let's say Barcelona, I can share the location by clicking the share button, and I've set Tesla over here next to AirDrop. You can customize this by pressing more and editing. Tesla does show up in one of these options, and I just move it up to the top right next to AirDrop. It's the second option. Once I press this, it shows up on my car, ready to drive. There are a few things that you should take note of if you want to make your experience with the Tesla navigation system a lot easier. Firstly, click on the navigate and you can set your home location as well as your work location. How to do this: you click on the set work and set home for the first time, and it'll ask you for the address. To change it, if your location has already been set for your home or work, you just hold down on the button and you can type in a new address, or you can do a search. That way, every time you get in the car, you can use the voice command and say navigate home, or you can press navigate and immediately press home or work. If you're low on charge and you need to charge at a Tesla Supercharger or otherwise, you can press on the navigate search bar and click the charging tab. As you can see, that there's a supercharger close by to here, about 10 kilometers away in Lolé. You press on that and it will navigate you to the charger. One important thing that you should do is, if you are planning to charge, it is very important to set the navigation to the charger, because your car actually preconditions, especially if you're going to be charging at a fast charger. Preconditioning basically means that it'll heat the battery up so that it's ready to accept charge at the highest possible speed. So this car can accept up to 170 kilowatts at the fast charger. The fast charger is capable of delivering 250 kilowatts, but if your battery is cold, you might be capped at 50 or 80 kilowatts, which means that your fast charging will be limited in terms of charging speed. Depending on your region, charging at third-party chargers will vary. I'm based in Portugal, but for this video I'll show you how to charge at a Tesla Supercharger. They are by far the simplest. You just arrive at the Tesla Superchargers or the Tesla chargers and you plug your car in. Nothing to activate. The chargers communicate with the car. It knows who to charge, as in who to bill, sorry. So there's no need to activate or use an app or use anything else. You literally just plug the charger in and the car is ready to charge. Another cool thing with the new Tesla Model 3 is the ambient lighting strip that goes around the car. To change the color or to turn it on and off, you activate the settings menu over here and you go to lights. Once you are in the lights menu, you can either turn on or off the accent lights. If you turn them off, you can see that I have it on green. It's completely turned off now. You can set it to auto, and then you can also change the color. So if you go into the light bar setting, you can change it to whatever color on the RGB scale over here, and then it'll also show your last favorited colors. I like green. Sometimes I change it to this pink color. A lot of people have it on blue. You can also have it on white, which isn't actually fully white. It's a little bit dim, so I don't actually like white. One thing to note is that at night, to prevent glare, it is quite dim. This is the brightest it'll be when it's in the accent light color menu. When you turn it off, you can see that it dims. So right now the sun just set, so it's not too dark, but once it gets super dark, you'll see that the light bar is once again visible. Another cool thing about the Tesla Model 3 is that there's a lot of lights inside the cabin now, like the footwell lights as well as the lights in the door bins. You can turn those on and off as well in the menu by turning this toggle on and off. As you can see that the footwell lights turn on and off. So I'm arriving at the TESLA Superchargers now, and you can see that it's at this mall, Mar Shopping in Algarve. This is a really cool mall. It's actually dog friendly, so if you have a dog and visiting Portugal or the Algarve, be sure to check out Mar Shopping. You need to back up into the Superchargers for the most part. I mean, there are some instances where the Superchargers are hidden parking, but one thing to note is that you actually have to back up all the way to the stopper. So if you look on the screen, you have to reverse until your rear wheels are actually stopped by the stopper. Otherwise, the cable's not long enough. So until it hits like that, then you can stop. Make sure your car's in park. There's a few ways to open the charge port. You can either press this button here, and that'll open the charge port. You can set your charging. On the new Tesla Model 3, if you have the standard range, you can charge all the way to 100%. It's actually recommended that you charge at least once a week to maintain the battery levels. Unlike the long range, with the long range, it's recommended to charge only up to 80%, and in rare instances, charge to 100%. But if you have the standard range model, you can set your charge limit by changing the slider to 100%. I'm at 83% at the moment, which means that when I plug it in, it'll charge all the way up to 100%. Okay, so at the Tesla Superchargers, if you're in Europe, you have a bigger charger, the CCS2 charging port. If you're in the US, you have one of the smaller chargers in the US. You can point the charger at your charge port and press the button, and that should open the charge port. I haven't actually gotten this to work before. Yeah, normally you would point the charger at the charge port and press the button, and it should open. Alternatively, you can just tap at your charge port and it'll open. And all you do at the Tesla Superchargers is you just plug it in, and it will start charging automatically. You can check the status on your car. So if you go into your car, you will see that it will start charging, and that's it. So you can monitor on your app how long the charge is going to take. It'll also notify you when the charging is complete. Be note that when you're charging in the Tesla Superchargers, you get billed for idle time. So once your car is charged, you're supposed to leave the Tesla Supercharger as soon as possible to prevent congestion. So they actually charge a penalty for every minute that you stand in the supercharger. Since I didn't really need to charge, I'm going to actually stop the charging now. So how you would stop the charging, you can stop the charging at any time along the charge. When you're done with charging, you can press the car button over here and go to charging. You can stop charging by pressing stop charge, and that'll end the charge session. And the next thing you need to do is actually unlock the charge port, because when the plug is plugged in, you can't pull it out. You can unlock the charge port from the outside in the Tesla app, or you can do it from within the car. Now that it's getting pretty dark, I can demonstrate how to use the headlights on the Tesla Model 3. You press this button, and if you press it once, it does a flash. By default, it's set to automatic. So if you want to change any of the settings, you click it once. You can change it so that instead of it being auto, you can make it stay on. So this is just your dim lights, headlights, and you shouldn't actually be messing with this and leaving it on auto. If you need to flash someone, you just press the lights once, like this, and it works the same way as if you had to press the store. Okay, a few cool features about the Tesla that aren't present in many other cars. The first being that we like to use a lot is dog mode. So dog mode keeps the climate control running, and if you activate the Sentry mode in the car in the settings, you can actually monitor your dog through your app And basically what that does is it set the climate control to the temperature that you want it for your dog. We have a dog seat for our dog over here. Normally we strap him in with the harness so he doesn't move out of here, especially when we're driving. But he usually waits here when we go into the store and he's not allowed in. So we activate dog mode, activated by going here and clicking dog mode. When you get out the car, it displays on the screen that the car is currently in dog mode for passers-by to know that you haven't abandoned your little furry baby in the car. That's a pretty useful feature, especially if you have dogs. The second feature is camp mode. Usually camping is done in the Tesla Model Y, not so much the Model 3, but we will be experimenting with camping in the Model 3, so stay tuned and subscribe to my videos if you want to see that coming soon. The other cool features in the Tesla Model 3 that aren't usually present in other cars are the theater, arcade, and the Toybox. The arcade allows you to play games that are on the car, so this is particularly useful if you are stopping to charge for a long time. Some games require you to connect a game controller. If you have a PlayStation 5 or you have a controller that requires USB, you can plug it into the USB port. With the PlayStation 5 controllers, you can actually pair with Bluetooth. So there's this game, Beach Buggy Racing, that actually allows you to use the steering wheel to turn left and right. It's quite hilarious because your wheels actually turn left and right outside when you're playing this game. Because this is a direct shaft drive steering wheel, not drive-by-wire, it doesn't actually disconnect from the wheels when you're playing this game. So from the outside it looks pretty funny. You look like an idiot basically when you're playing this game. The other cool feature is the theater. You can watch YouTube videos. For example, if you want to watch my videos, you can search Europe in a Tesla, and the quality is very good, and the sound quality is very good as well, as it uses the car's speakers. Or you can watch Netflix if you have a Netflix account.
My name's Orion, and I'm afraid.
The final cool feature in the Tesla is the Toybox. Over here there are some cool things that you can do. You can change the lock sound. I've turned mine off. You can change the lock sound to something else. You can make it like a fart, for example, so once the car is locked, it'll sound like a fart. Or you can actually add a custom sound by placing the sound file on the USB in the Glovebox, and you can name it lockchime.wave, and this could be anything. People have been very creative with these. A lot of people have used the Windows startup sound or the error sound, which is pretty cool. I don't like having lock sound because sometimes I'm parked in a neighborhood, people are sleeping, and the car locks and it makes a loud noise, so I've completely turned it off. You can also change the horn sound. When I press the horn now, it'll make a fart after the horn. You can also play your current music outside because there's a speaker under the car, and this is the boombox mode, so whatever you're playing on your sound system, you can click play current media and it'll play whatever you're playing. Or you can activate the megaphone, so you can actually speak to people outside the car. So if I activate megaphone and say, hey, this is LAPD, please pull over, they can actually hear me from what I'm saying in the car, which is quite hilarious. I don't know why these were included in the car. They're pretty fun features. I've never used them personally. Besides the boombox, there's a light show as well, and this allows you to play a light show outside the car. There's lots of videos on this on YouTube, so you can go check it out. There's also a colorizer, so you can change the color of the paint. Unfortunately, this isn't like the BMW iX, the color changing iX. This is just the color of your car in the display over here. So if I customize this, I can change my car to red, but unfortunately my car is still white, so it doesn't actually change anything. So I can also make it a metallic color, a matte color. I think this is pretty cool to visualize what color your car would be if you wanted to get it wrapped. And some people just like having this here. I think it's a bit gimmicky, so I'll just have it on the default. This is obviously one of the features that were very viral back in the day when the Teslas were first launched. You can set a fart mode, so you can put it on the seat, so if someone sits down and starts farting, and there's different types of farts. A boring fart. I'm so random, I can choose any fart. There's Neura stink. Not a fart. Oof, not a fart, sounds like a short. Shorts ripper. Verified fart. Oh, it's verified. Blue tick. I think Elon Musk is trying to sell more blue ticks on Twitter or X using this fart mode. There's a romance mode as well. You can put on some flames and it actually blows out some hot air, so it makes you feel like you're sitting in front of a fire. That's pretty cool, I guess, if you want to get cozied up and it's pretty cold with your partner. There's a tracks mode, so you can make some music in the car, and you know, there's a few others that you can check out, but none of these are important for the car. They're just fun to use. So if you are renting a Tesla or got your Tesla for the first time, I would implore you to go check out all these cool features. As you can see, this car is packed with tons of features and tons of options, not necessarily crucial for driving, but could add a lot of value to owning a Tesla Model 3. If you'd like me to make another video where I outline every single feature possible in the Model 3 and every single option, let me know in the comments, and I'll make a fully fledged video where I go through every single possible feature available in the Tesla Model 3 Highland. As always, thank you for watching my video. If you like my content, remember to subscribe and smash the like button, and have a wonderful day.